Thank you for registering to take part in the IWEco-3 regional workshop. The project's main aim is to make recommendations about ways to maximise the effectiveness of legislation, regulations, policy and capacity for sustainable management of land, water and ecosystem services. With 8 participating states, the project is looking across the region and beyond to draw a picture of the current situation and identify good practice, comparing countries' approaches and experiences and drawing on what each country is doing well and what learning each can offer others. The aim is to produce a toolkit that can be used by all the participating states to help in developing integrated and effective approaches adapted to each country's particular context. Alongside this, the project will identify practical pilot projects for each of the participating states. The purpose of this video is to provide an advanced introduction so that when the workshop starts, we can all get straight to work. To provide this introduction, we have drawn together clips from the series of national stakeholder focus group sessions held a little earlier this year.
Hi, I'm Steve Kemp. I'm the Executive Director of Open Plan. We're leading the project, and my role is to co-direct the project and on these occasions introduce everybody else.
My name is Yolanda Aline. I am an urban planner and I am based in Barbados. I do work throughout the region, and on this particular team, although we're having a very integrated approach, I'm going to be particularly focused on integrated coastal zone management.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Therese Yard. I'm an environmental consultant also based in Barbados, and on the team, my focus is on ecosystem services management.
My name is Adrian Cashman, and within the project, I'm dealing with integrated water resources management.
Hello, everybody. I'm Simone Landucci. I'm a urban planner and land use planner, and on the project, I'm working on the sustainable land management side.
Welcome, everybody. So this is a presentation about the IWEco Component 3, review and strengthen policy, legislative and institutional capacity to support sustainable land and water resources and ecosystem management in IWEco participating countries. So as you can see from the very title, is the Component 3 out of 4 in the IWEco project. The scope and objectives of this current component is the review of the existing legislative policy and institutional capacity and institutional framework in the 8 participating countries to make recommendation for the improvement and identify specific projects to be carried out in each of the countries. When we look at the legislative component and the policy component, we're also looking at the institutional reforms, meaning that we're looking at the governance structure, the presence and overlap or underlap of different private, public and third sector organizations in the management of natural resources. Now, when we analyze natural resources, the approach, which I'm going to describe in a second, that we have taken is looking at surface and groundwater, sustainable land, coastal areas, and ecosystem service management. We have in the team 5 different experts. Each of us is specialized in one of these areas, but what we're really trying to do is to integrate all 4 of them into a single and coherent, synergic natural resources management system and look at the different policy, legislation, institutional frameworks. Inter alia, we're looking at resources to support this governance structure, coordination among sectors in the governance structure, as well as financing. We would like to explore with you what the gaps are in what I just described. We want to do that with you because of your insights of the system. You obviously know the system in a way will never be able to, because you work in it every day. And so we want this to be the result of our collaboration and working together.
Thank you, Simone. So the framework that we're going to be using to sort of get at and discuss the gaps in responses is based around 4 sets of conditions that lay the groundwork for good governance of natural resources, for good governance of land, water, coastal zones, and ecosystem services. And these 4 conditions are seen as essential enabling conditions for good governance. So when these 4 conditions are in place, then good governance becomes possible. And once good governance is consistently practiced, then it leads to effective and efficient natural resources management. And the 4 conditions that we are working with relate to unambiguous goals. So the goals, there should be goals set for the environment, for natural resources management, and there should be corresponding goals and targets for socioeconomic conditions as well, because as we know, the 2 are linked, natural resource management and socioeconomic, the socioeconomic situation. And these goals should be clearly defined, they should be commonly agreed and well understood, and they should be SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound as possible, so that they provide a basis for measuring progress as natural resource management efforts move forward. There should also be well-informed stakeholders. There should be a core of stakeholders, including government entities, private sector, civil society, and NGOs. And these stakeholders should be well-informed, they should be engaged, and they should actively support the achievement of the goals that have been identified. The 3rd condition or marker is formal commitment, formal government commitment. And that involves having government endorse and formally adopt the goals and objectives, whether they're in the form of legislation, plans, action plans, programs, strategies. And it also involves, beyond the endorsement and adoption, that the government ensures that the agencies involved in implementation have the resources that they need to implement, and they have the authority that they need to implement and to carry out their duties. And then the final enabling condition, the final marker, is adequate institutional capacity, which basically means that the organizations and the institutions responsible for implementation of natural resource management programs have the capacity that they need to manage and to implement effectively. And this could relate to staff complements, it could relate to technology and tools, it could relate to skills and training, but that the capacity exists or is developed that allows them to effectively implement actions to achieve the goals that have been identified and agreed on. So those are the 4 governance criteria, in a sense, the 4 enabling conditions that we're going to be focusing on and structuring the discussion around.
So that I'm going to try to make some sort of mind mappy notes as we go along, which you may see bits of as we progress. And hopefully by the end of the session, we'll know a lot more than we do at this particular moment, and you will know a bit more about the project.
The Environmental Awareness Group has been doing some work in the past year to improve people's understanding of policy and legislation that's relevant to us. And each time we do it, we recognize that people know absolutely nothing about what these policies are, how they interface with them, and what impact it has on their lives. It's because I've been in this field for over a decade. I know the policies, I understand them, I know, how my agency should respond, but I am a technocrat, therefore I should know. The general public does not know.
The stakeholder awareness, I think I concur with Mr. Thompson saying that we do have a lot of formally written down and fully fleshed out objectives or policy with regard to the protection and the management of natural resources. And I think where we have some issues, and again, it as both pointed out, is that in a lot of the cases, some of the stakeholders are not fully aware of how it affects them and how they should treat with those policies or those
and basically
goals.
there need to be a critical number of staffing for agencies that are involved, like for example in enforcement.
In terms of implementation, we're perhaps changing our view of how we use our resources and strictly using resources within a particular ministry for a specific thing may be an outdated paradigm. Given the paradigm that is used now, one would come to a reasonable conclusion of inadequate human resources, where in fact, when you look across government, we may have we may have the skills present, but those skills may be distributed in different departments that are not necessarily having the specific mandate for implementation of the issue at hand.